Hello, hello, and welcome to The Wave. I hope you're having a spectacular day. Today we are here joined with Topo. How are you, Topo? How are you doing?
Doing well, Wombat. Glad you were able to stay up past your bedtime for this.
This is my favorite thing about talking with Topo. He always has a pun or some kind of joke about my age, and it's the best, it's the funniest thing. I love it. And then we're here with Wookie as well, the co-host.
Pleasure to be here, like always, and happy to be here with Topo, OG Ape. So it's always nice to share the stage with our own kind. So let's jump right into it. So Topo, you were just in Breakpoint, right? Can you tell us a little bit about Amsterdam? How was that experience?
Yeah, I mean it was incredible in a lot of ways. I hadn't been there in almost as long as Wombat's been alive, if I'm being honest. Like I think it's legitimately been 15 years since I was there last. And I mean the city itself is incredible. Like we have such a lack of appreciation of history, I think, out in the West, just because our world kind of started and that world over the pond has been going for quite a bit more. So just the architecture, the buildings, the you could feel the city's history. I will say the Solana Foundation, for all the things good I can say. I mean, booking something in the middle of November in Amsterdam was, I mean, it was cold, it was wet, like cold to your bone cold. For all the greatness of that city, it wasn't highlighted by the temperature and the wetness. As for the event itself, I mean, incredible. Like it was really energizing to get to go see everyone in person. You know, start putting names to PFPs. You realize you mispronounce fucking half these names for sure. Like I met someone. His name's Lucifer, but like I only ever read it as like Lewis. Like it's weird. Like you just meet people and you hear them say their name, and like, oh shit, that's who you are. And also it legitimized a lot of, my thesis behind betting on Solana. Like it's just legitimate people building a legitimate foundation of technology that legitimate companies are flocking towards. So that part was great as well.
Was there anybody in particular like you were looking forward to meeting in person?
Well, so I'm a member of a couple communities, but like the Boogles obviously had a really good showing. I mean, I think there was like 42 of the 100 were there, so like that was really good, I guess. Collection saturation, so to speak. So it was great to meet some of the people that I've been talking to for a year or two. There's a couple other people. There's a Froculus or KW. I think his project's Queck that's been pumping. Like I've been talking to that dude for quite some time, and got an opportunity to sit down with him for an hour or so over coffee. That was great. I sat down with the Tensor team, working on some stuff for the orphans on part of my Barrows collection. So it was just, all in all, like checked all the boxes. There was more people I wanted to meet, but yeah, I met who I could, and I was glad. And it was interesting to me to meet people who had like a relationship with my online alias. Like people knew Topo, and I found that really interesting.
Yeah, and so real quick, you mentioned the Boogle like pop-up. How was that? I never really got to see many pictures of it on Twitter, but what kind of was like the experience there? Like where was it set up? Like how many people were coming in? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was like the brainchild of like Ceylon and George and Bell, who's part of the family as well, and Veets. They got this space. It was, I want to say it was like 10, 15 minutes away from like where most of the action was happening at Breakpoint. So it felt a little isolated, which was cool, and it like had a really good just vibe. It was like a clean aesthetic. You walk in there, there's a couple racks of clothes, and it was really interesting to see non-Boogle holders and just like also just like random people off the street buying the brand. So it was I don't know how to say it other than like it was really just a vibe. It was just great music, great people, a couple couches, a lot of the artists of Solana were there showcasing some of their work. Yeah, it was an incredible outcome, to be honest. I didn't know how it would go, but the reception was fantastic.
It's crazy to me how like an amazing job Google community has been able to translate that cleanness from the brand from the NFT to like IRL events as well. And I think they're going to be working more and doing more of that stuff. Because from what I've been looking on Twitter or X, everybody seemed to love it, man. They're like just super hyped about what everything Google related. Like the event was managed perfectly. I didn't have the chance to go to Amsterdam this year, but maybe we'll catch you in Singapore and have the pleasure of joining a Google event live next year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like, yeah, a lot of credit goes to again like George and Celon, Viets, and Bell. Like they're nothing's a mistake. Like they're very intentional with everything. Like they're really trying to convey a feeling, an emotion, a sense of like luxury branding. Like every single decision they make is tied to making sure that if you participate, you'll feel a certain way. So I'm not surprised everyone loved it. It's exactly what they envisioned. And when you have smart people with a vision executing it on it, like it tends to work out pretty well. So my hat goes off to them. It's a lot easier on my side doing, fuck all and just showing up. So that's what I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Juan, but I'm sorry.
No worries. And you also mentioned that, you met some people that you knew online and that people like knew who you were sort of when you got there. They knew like your online identity of Topo. How was it as being like an influencer that hasn't shown their face and, hasn't really, doesn't have like a face on Twitter? How was that experience going into Breakpoint? Did people recognize you by your voice? Did people recognize you by the people you hung out with? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was interesting. As I'm not like doxxed, but I don't necessarily hide, right? Like I go to these things and I'll
Yeah.
talk to people and I identify myself when I say hi. And for the most part, everyone's, the people who know the account will either be shocked that it's pronounced Topo. They usually say, "Oh, I thought it was Topo," which is slightly different, but it's led to like even like Jakey, who I know pretty well through online. The guy, Jakey, obviously he
Yeah.
makes
We
great
had
Yeah.
him on the
content
show.
from Mad Lads. So like Jakey like knows me as Topo, and I was like, "Hey man, what's up? It's Topo." And it like took him about 3.5 minutes before he's like, "Oh shit!" And then like was really excited because we talk online all the time. We are in the DMs, and I was surprised. It was funny because like initially I was kind of like disappointed by his reaction because I was like, "Dude, I thought we were buddies," but he like addressed me as if I was somebody like just kind of a random person that was a fan of his. And then we got to talk, and it was fantastic. But for me, it was strange to know how much reach like my fat green ape on the internet has, because it's never been something I intended. And I mean, Wombat, you even say like the word influencer, like that almost is like a pejorative in the sense that I don't love the idea that I have influence over anything. Like for real, I created this account because I was bored. I'd never sent out a tweet before I created it. And I literally just have fun with my thumbs and like shoot out random shit. And it seems to, resonate with certain people, and it's built up quite a following. But yeah, it was interesting to me to meet some people, and they were all incredibly nice. Every single person I met was incredibly nice to the brand and idea of Topo. It was great.
I think what I like about the brand that you've built personally is it definitely seems, just like you're saying, it's very authentic. You're not trying to engagement farm, you're just shooting it as it is, and that authenticity comes across, and we can definitely appreciate that. Um I do want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, and well, two things actually. The Barrows and the Orphans.
Sure.
I've been tracking that for the longest time, and I know the Barrows has Resist on there, and
Yep.
he's an amazing artist. And I believe that the Orphans is with Senum, right?
Correct.
Sweet. So when are we getting? It might be out already, and I just missed it. But do we have any sneak peeks for the Orphans already?
No, I haven't showed the art quite yet. I do have all 420 in my possession. I mean, two things. Like I'm, people say shit like that. Like literally standing on the shoulders of giants. Two incredible artists that are willing to do all the heavy lifting and the work, and then trusting in me to bring it to market in a package that people will care about. I mean, Resist is the only reason the Barrows could work. Like I couldn't have worked with a different artist. He was so so excited about the idea. We spent a ton of time in the ideation phase, coming up with the first 20 or so characters, and just watching him work. And he's just like a creative monster. I give him like a couple prompts of what I think would be cool, or like the story that because I do the right, like I'm putting together the narrative and the story, and give him like some idea and direction of that, and he just gets to work, and he's incredible at pumping those out. Zeno on the other side is like such a professional. Like Zeno's the dude that where you're like, hey man, do you think we can have this by Friday? And then like Friday morning you check into Discord and it's the most professional layout and every single box is checked and constantly looking for feedback and willing to work through iterations, and is never like, no, fuck you, this is it. Like he's genuinely trying to get to a place where you're both really happy. We haven't shown the art quite yet. We will here soon. And the reason is I want to make sure that I explain the orphans a little better to everybody before we go live with the art. There's all these collections, or there's not all these, but like these smaller boutique collections coming out with like a secondary collection to kind of expand the universe. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do like a resist style for the Barrows, and then have just a different look for the orphans. So that's why I wanted pixel art as well as more of a resist signature style.
And is this going to be deployed? I don't know if this is alpha or anything, but I just want to know how it will be deployed. Will it be like a one-of-one auction kind of thing, or are we talking about like a general mint?
Yeah. So the Barrows will always be auction 101s. There'll be 69 of those. There'll be 420 because I'm just like a child at heart. So there'll be 420 orphans, and each Barrow gets 4 whitelists. They can do with those as they please. They can either mint them themselves. They can gift them to other people to go mint to try to expand the community in a way we want to see. And then I haven't said this publicly, but I'm happy to say it here. Like the remaining 300. So I hope to get to 30 Barrows. That's 120 of the whitelists spoken for. And there will be 300 public. And think of it a bit like a raffle where you'll pay a nominal fee to participate in the raffle, say 1,000 people really want to try to get a Barrows. They have a non-refundable 0.1 soul attempt to get it. And then 300 random people get the ability to go grab one. What nobody does know, and which I guess I'll say here, is that one of those 420 orphans will actually be the 69th Barrow, which is a one-of-one from Zeno. So we'll have one Barrow that's a Zeno, and then we'll have one orphan that's by resist.
Ooh.
So we'll have like a one-of-one switch from each side, which would be pretty cool.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
that's sick.
That is sick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so on the topic of orphans, so what was your thought process, going into this collection? Why are we going with obviously you already said that 420 is like a good number. But why are we pushing this collection out, and why is it something that you wanted to do besides the Barrows?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I was trying to find the reason I initially wanted to do the Barrows is I think these boutique communities offered a lot during the bear. Like it was really, really important to have a small group that you could trust and like kind of work through this. Like I mean, obviously I was fortunate enough to be in the Boogles for quite a bit. And like, I remember when Solana started to just collapse, and I was, I'm in a position where the crypto side is very different than what I have on the IRL side. Like I have commitments to wife and everything, like all this goes to zero. We're okay type of thing. So like for me, I was just going to round trip it. Like I didn't give a shit. It's like, it's stake. Like it doesn't matter. And then I jumped on a call and like quickly figured out like, it's going to get uglier. It's going to get uglier. So I was able to liquidate like an incredible amount of my soul position, around like 85-ish soul, or sorry, 85-ish per soul, because of a call I was able to hop on. And just that access and that ability to have smarter people in the room than yourself is incredibly valuable. So the thought behind the Barrows was like, I'd love to have a community similar, but with an entry point people would have greater access to. The reception's been so good that actually that entry point is much higher than I anticipated, which is fantastic, but it's also like not exactly what I was hoping to do. So I do believe that the orphans just extends that even further. Like we're talking like 3 soul mint is like the plan there. Like just really trying to find a way to get that community bigger. And then also, I don't think that collections need to be, that big. I mean, I think that 489 things is enough things to manage, and it's much more than I don't want to manage 500. So yeah, it's a good number for me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So just to get this straight, some of that Google Alpha is trickling down into the orphans, and and the Barrows indirectly through you, right?
Well, we have I mean, one of the things I'll say, like building relationships in this ecosystem, is you have people that will want to make bets on whatever you're working on. So I've been fortunate enough that a lot of my friends that I've made in the Boogles have, joined the Barrows. It was unintentional at first, but there is some crossover there. So naturally there's communication that's going on, but we try to keep things separate, obviously. And then there's we have some decent rules in the Barrows just around, trust is the only currency I really trade in, right? If you're in there and you're stealing stuff and sharing it with other people or trying to take advantage of the community, both internally and externally, I'll just kick you out. Like, I'll burn your token publicly and laugh at you. Like, I'm just not into any of that. So, so that's about it.
Sweet. Sounds fair. I definitely align with those values as well, and I'm pretty sure Wombat does as well.
Absolutely.
I want to touch on something completely different, and is how did this all Solana, like the Solana thing, crypto thing, how did that start for you? What is the beginning?
Yeah, I've been in the working in the tech space for quite some time. I was familiar with both like Bitcoin and Ethereum years and years and years ago. Pretty early on in the Coinbase days, started buying some coin. Had both of them. Got wind of Solana right around like $20 or so last, like whenever that was, 2020, like just before 2020. I'd have to look when the first buy was, but started just buying Solana as I talked to some people I respected who just believed in effectively like wholly. They're like, this guy's super sharp. He comes from Qualcomm. He's got legitimate business acumen and ability to build things and understands these complex systems. And he's going to make, things faster and more scalable and cheaper. And in the tech world, that's basically everything. At the end of the day, user experience is boiled down to, can I do this shit fast and can I do this shit cheap? And if the answer is yes to both those questions, like, people will forgive a lot of other things. And we saw that with just the resiliency issues and stability issues early on with Solana. Like, I don't know, we put up with a lot of shit knowing that, the end state could be better. And, it's been fantastic ever since.
Hell yeah. I couldn't agree more. That was pretty much the same reason why I onboarded myself, and I think scalability, fast transactions, easy to use. That's pretty much all that matters. User experience, like you said. Sweet. Is there
Absolutely.
anything you would like to touch on, Topo?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, in general, there's going to be, there's so much going on in this ecosystem. It's really hard to track. And like, the crypto Twitter is its own bubble. And then you can kind of rotate into all these different areas and find people that are really incredibly sharp. You've touched a little bit on that. You mentioned like influencers. And for the most part, I don't think all are the same, right? Like, some people have gained followings based on being actually useful. Other people have gained followings on being particularly not useful. And I think identifying the good and the bad, so to speak, is really, really important. Curating your community on the internet is really important. Like, one of the issues growing up that you're going to face is that you're only ever really exposed to the 5 blocks communally you walk to and from school and all the friends you meet there. And you're kind of in that bubble regardless. You don't get to choose that. When you're on the internet, it's kind of a wide open world. And the idea that you would surround yourself with losers on the internet as well as losers in real life is just like, at that point, you just might be a loser. So I would say, like, look in the mirror and figure out what you're trying to get out of this space, and identify what that looks like, and go find your tribe, and really lean into that kind of stuff. And if you're on here and you're trying to, learn anything, that'd be kind of nice. And if you aren't listening to Lightspeed, like, Mert's pod it's so good. Like, it's so good. He brings on, I think the other guy's name's Garrett. Like, they bring on thought leaders from all over the ecosystem, not even just Solana, like people coming over from ETH and really challenging some of the thoughts that we carry as Solana maxis, so to speak. So I'm really, I hate to use the word bullish, but I'm just like bullish on the idea that we are still, in fact, very early. And there's an incredible opportunity for people to actually learn, grow, make money, make friends, build opportunities, and really change the trajectory of their life, as long as they allow themselves to do it instead of getting in their own way.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that point also carries over to breakpoint. And that whole thing with like the speakers there. I've watched a bunch of the recordings from people speaking at breakpoint, and it's inspiring. What these people know about the blockchain, what these people know about Solana, and what these people are building for it because of what they know, really. And if I think that breakpoint was a great opportunity, especially for those who weren't here, they can watch the record. Who weren't there, they can watch the recordings like I did. And I think it was a great opportunity for people to learn about Solana, learn, how to keep grinding, how to keep building on Solana from these people who, pretty much know their stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point, Wombat. And like you also get a sense that there's individuals that could legitimately choose to build it anywhere. Like if you sit down and you spend 5 minutes with Armani over at Mad Lad's, backpack, like it's very abundantly clear that the dude's an incredible talent. Like he could legitimately raise capital. He's done it before, and he could legitimately choose to build anywhere. And he actively chose to build on Solana. And there's a reason for that in identifying, what smart people are doing, and then kind of trying to figure out, well, why would they be doing that? And it's because it opens up opportunities for really smart people to have the flexibility to build the things that they really want to build. And that should be inspiring. I mean, if you are going to watch any sessions, like the Fire Dancer is incredible. Like, it's just like, you gotta kind of buckle down and sit down and listen to Bowers. I mean, he's an actual scientist, and he's talking about getting the most out of machines humanly possible. Like, that's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, again, like I left really, really excited about what was going on, and we just have some incredible builders that have chosen to work on Solana. Like there was a million reasons to leave Solana. Like it was encouraged. People would have been completely excited about it. They would have, packed your bags for you and celebrated on the way out. And a lot of these people really did decide to just bear down and make shit work. And I think we owe it to them. That's part of the reason everyone's bitching about these, the plushies being $46. Like I couldn't have bought more. Like I'd buy them instantly. I'd buy them again today. Like, so there you go.
I got mine. I love
Yeah,
Clanos.
of course.
Yeah, it's definitely not an issue to support people that are putting in the work and bringing quality to Solana, because we all believe in this, And Clano team, like, props to them. Like their trailer was absolutely insane. Everything they do is just top tier quality. It's like it's pretty much Pixar of Solana. That's how I look at it. And yeah, if you're complaining about a $46 plushie, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like open up your wallet, you get dropped. Like I don't know what like. You accidentally stumble into a 2-week 10x from Bonk. Like, just carve a little out and fucking buy a plushie. Chill out.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I think before we wrap this up, I have one more question for you, unless you want to add anything.
Sure.
So basically, are you going to be at Singapore in the next year? We're going to see you there?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, you leave Breakpoint, and there's like this incredible high. Like, fuck yeah, I'm going. Like, I'll see you next year. Then you get home, you start Googling flights, and you're like, holy shit, like, how do I even get to that place? It is so far. It is so expensive. But yeah, you put a gun to my head. Solana just hit, what, 55? Of course.
Yeah, I think
how
so.
could I not? I'll be there, and I'm flying first class at this rate. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So real quick before we end it
catch you
off,
there
while
for
we're
sure.
still, yeah, for sure. And while we're still on this topic, what do you think of the location for this year? Because I know a lot of people were thinking that, like you said, it's very expensive to fly over there. Do you think a lot of people will attend next year, or will it be like less than this year? Like, how do you think it's looking?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the foundation is, direction, like generally smart. Like they're smart people, so they're probably looking at the geolocation to try to broaden the customer base and the reach over into that region. So I think making it accessible to those who maybe it had been less accessible to when they've done it over in Europe was the plan. So I think it makes sense. A lot of the Solana maxis and fanboys will make the trip because they love Solana, and then maybe some of the people who are closer to Singapore that wouldn't have gone otherwise will make the trip over. So I think it makes sense. If you're going to build a global blockchain, you got to think globally, and the location is what the location is. From what I understand, it also might be the same week as an F1 race. So it might get pretty damn competitive in terms of like hotel space. So if you're going, I would think about booking early and get ready. It'll be a ton of fun. I've never been to Singapore, so part of that makes it exciting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great response.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually had a Formula One race here in Mexico, and honestly, prices on hotels and everything go absolutely crazy. So if you're listening to this and you're planning on going, make sure to book your shit early because it's going to be necessary. I do have one last question, Topo.
Sure.
If you had to pick an artist from Drip and have them here on the pod talking to us, who would you like to hear from?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I haven't listened to all your episodes, so I'm not sure if you've had DJ and Poet on. I mean, the guy's had an incredible journey. It'd be interesting to hear from him on just the path from where he was to where he ended up. I remember some early days on Solana, like the man was struggling to move poems. He was literally writing poems and like couldn't get it to really hit the market the way that it should. I mean, obviously an incredible talent, and people eventually kind of woke up to it and realized it. So he would be an interesting one. And then have you had the founder of Drip on as well?
We have not. That's on the list as well.
It's on the list, and I'm so glad you said DJ Poet too, because now we can use this as blackmail to bring him on the pod. And
Yep.
I actually wanted to have him on here as well. But yeah, thank you. That answers my questions. If anybody has anything else to add, please feel free.
And,
If not,
and the
we
reason,
can
by the way,
definitely
the
wrap
reason
this
I
up.
didn't say this, I didn't want to like mispronounce Fishy's name. He's also an incredible, like he's an incredible example of the quality of person that Solana's had the ability to attract, like taking real life founders that have built actual business and then taking some of those ideas from the real world and seeing how they can apply them to the blockchain is interesting, right? Like we just have such an opportunity here to do the one thing I think every single crypto thing has struggled to do, and that is find product market fit. Like in reality, like yes, I get it. Like we can all moon boy our pictures of fucking farm animals as much as we want and talk about how we're changing the world and all that stuff. But in reality, like we need to find ways to get the next wave of people to really give a shit about what we're building. Or at the end of the day, it'll just be all of us rotating coins and pictures throughout each other. So I'm excited about the quality of builders coming to this space, because people smarter than me are going to come up with the next wave of things that maybe my mom would be able to download a Phantom wallet and use. Because I know for a fact she ain't downloading a MetaMask to connect to an L2 to jump off a bridge and to fuck like that. The idea that that's the future of anything other than like opting out, that's the future of quitting crypto. So the idea is like, how do we find the next bazillion users? And it has to be ease of use. It has to be product market fit. It has to be something that people actually give a shit about. And the holy grail would be that they don't even know they're interacting necessarily with crypto on the back end, that they're just doing something that they do, and it just happens to be powered by Solana. So I'm excited to see what that looks like over the coming years and being a part of it in whatever way I am.
Hell
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think
Oh,
Viv is definitely leading that race. I would say that's how I look at him, like as the prophet of onboarding people without them knowing they're being onboarded, and I definitely see Drip as the main like tool to make that happen. I super bullish on what he's doing as well.
and Topo, you mentioned your mom was gonna be on Drip or on Phantom. I don't know if Wookie knows this, but what's it called? I got our mom to get on Phantom as well on Drip. She's subscribed. She has her faceless. She's got everything.
Oh, that's wild.
Good. Well, that's good. Like
Yeah,
that's what we need. That's what we need. We're not being early doesn't mean you're the target audience. Like we're not anymore. If you go have a conversation with anyone in the real world about the shit you do on the internet, they're gonna look at you like you're speaking Mandarin. And it's just true. Like I try to get into I'll find myself trying to explain some of the stuff that I do to my wife, and then about 3 seconds into it, be like, I don't know if I have a brain injury, but this doesn't this doesn't seem easy. Like this doesn't make sense. This isn't intuitive. Like why am I liquid staking and then providing liquidity and then taking those coins and then staking them over here? Like it seems absurd, right? So that's not what's going to do it. It's going to be something related to commerce, I would imagine. Like the number one use case to me, and it's pretty fucking obvious, is just USDC rails, like the ability to move money globally quickly for a low cost. Like that seems to make a lot of sense to me. If you're in a developing nation, like in the tech space, like where's a lot of the money flowing? It's like emerging markets. You want to get into where the future builders are going to be. And one of the constraints they're going to always have is stability of capital. Like they're going to work in markets where their monetary system's pretty jacked up. They're going to want to transact in US dollar. They're not going to want to pay $8 to $12 to move it from one wallet to another. Like it has to be fast and easy and cheap. And I still believe that Solana, as of today, provides the best route for that.
Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah,
brothers. Anything else you want from me? I got time. You let me know.
I think we can wrap it up here. Unless once again, if any of you guys have anything to add, go ahead and do that.
Well, I'm having a great time. This could go on for another hour if it were up to me.
Absolutely.
But then editing the video is gonna be a pain in the butt. So yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, Topo. It's been a pleasure. I think I've seen you around in Twitter for years now, and I've never had the pleasure of speaking with you, but I'm thankful that I do now. And if you ever need anything, you want to hop on here again, feel free. Go ahead.
Do I talk like I tweet? I guess that's my question.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you do. You do. You throw the witty comments here and there,
Absolutely.
So it's very similar.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, you'll. That was one of the other things at Breakpoint. Like you could feel the people that were like authentically the same person online that they are in person, and I hope that comes across because like I didn't create.
Hell yeah.
I didn't create like a filter to be somebody else. I just created like a fat green ape that I get to say things through. So.
Well, we all like that fat green ape, man. It's authentic and it's real. So thank you. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, well,
Wombat, get out there, by the way. Stop talking to us. Go find some girls. You're 15.
Hey, it's past my bedtime. It's past my bedtime. We gotta wrap it up.
Am I on
here.
some list? Am I gonna go to jail for? Am I allowed to talk to kids your age on the internet?
I'm reporting you as we speak. This is a trap.
All right, thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Thanks everything you do.
Jeez,
Congrats
thanks for having this.
Keep on going. We'll chat soon.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Topo. It's a pleasure, man.
Later.
Later.